just want to welcome you on really quick. We'll give it a few more minutes for everybody else to join us, but I will go ahead and open up the meeting room and let everybody start logging in. So we'll start in just a few minutes. All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We'll go ahead and get started. And welcome to Scandinavia 2015. I appreciate everybody joining today. So before we get started, I'll just run through a little housekeeping, and we will, that way you kind of get familiar with the system. Any questions or problems that you may have, there's a chat box down in the bottom left-hand corner. You can send me messages if you're having problems, if you can't hear me, you want me to talk louder, talk slower, I will try. All of that can be sent to me. There will be a question and answer session at the end, so please go ahead and feel free to send me any questions, and I will try to answer them as best as I possibly can. If I don't know the answer, then I'll do some research and get back to you later. So anyway, so we are here today to talk about Scandinavia 2015. My name is Amanda Hancock, and I'm the Sales and Marketing Coordinator for Brekke Tours and Travel. If you have any questions that we don't answer today, please feel free to contact me directly by phone or email. I would also invite you to visit our website, as you can find a variety of information about traveling in Scandinavia and beyond there. So we are here today, of course, to learn about travel, but more specifically about travel to Scandinavia. For those of you that may not be familiar with Brekke Tours and what we do, our goal is simple. We wish to strengthen the cultural and ethnic ties between North America and Scandinavia by creating meaningful travel experiences. And Brekke Tours is a family-owned business. We have very close ties to Norway. We can trace our origin back to the late 1950s when Arne Brekke, a student from Norway, worked his way through graduate school in America by conducting summer tours in Europe. Since then, we have grown and now offer a wide range of products and services. Our dedicated and knowledgeable staff is ready to assist when making connections to ancestral ties. We offer an array of enriching experiences while traveling, and of course, we do try to provide the level of customer service that our clients have come to expect from Brekke Tours. So why travel to Scandinavia? Why not Rome or Paris or London? First and foremost, Scandinavia is known for amazing phenomena created by Mother Nature. In this part of the world, travelers can experience the northern lights, the midnight sun, the polar night, fjords, mountains, glaciers, and more. And of course, we have interesting cities here. Scandinavia's capital cities offer history, metropolitan atmosphere, combined with tradition and open-minded welcome to all visitors. And you'll also find quaint little fishing villages where you can stroll and do a little shopping. You can connect with your Scandinavian roots and learn more about the beginnings of traditions and customs that have been passed down from generation to generation. With cities dating back over thousands of years, Scandinavia is home to a variety of historic sites, including Viking burial mounds, castles, state churches, and more. And of course, the people. The people there are friendly, they're helpful, they love Scandinavia and its nature, and they love even more to share it with others. In addition to Scandinavians being friendly, most of them also speak English, which is a plus for us Americans. And you'll also find that Scandinavia is very safe. When it comes to travel safety, Scandinavia is one of the best and safest destinations in the world. So let's pack our virtual bags as we head to Scandinavia. Our first stop is Denmark. Now, the history of Denmark dates back to about 12,000 years ago, when the earliest evidence of human settlement is there. The Danes were first documented in written sources around the year 500. Queen Marguerite II can actually trace her ancestry back to the Viking Age, which makes Denmark the world's oldest kingdom. Among cobble squares, narrow streets, and old buildings, the history lives with us to this day. Some other interesting notes about Denmark: Danes are generally considered to be the happiest people in the world. There is not a single mountain in Denmark. The closest thing they have is a 557-foot hill. 50% of the people in Copenhagen commute to work via bike, so you have to be careful of the bikes when you're there. As a result of the Danish Vikings invading and settling in parts of Western Europe, most people in Germany, northern and eastern France, and Britain can claim Danish ancestry. And between 1397 and 1524, the whole of, and that includes Denmark, Sweden, Norway, the Faroe Islands, Iceland, and Greenland, as well as southern Finland, was actually unified under Danish rule, with Copenhagen as its capital. The Denmark-Norway Union lasted until about 1814. And of course, the famous building toys Legos are from Denmark. So if you have any kiddos out there, they are probably familiar with Legos, and that's where they originated. Copenhagen is the capital city of Denmark. From a small fishing village that hardly anyone had ever heard of to one of the world's most talked about cities, Copenhagen has a colorful history dating back more than 6,000 years. The first written record regarding Copenhagen dates back to 1043. And in those days, it was called Haven, meaning the harbor, and it was of little strategic or political importance. Most of the people in Haven earn their daily bread by fishing for herring. In the next 2 centuries, fishing and trading turned into the small fishing village into a flourishing town. And in 1343, Copenhagen was made the capital of Denmark and is today Scandinavia's largest city. So when visiting Copenhagen, there are many sites and attractions that are included on everyone's must-see list, including, of course, the Little Mermaid, which is a bronze statue based on the fairy tale by Danish author Hans Christian Andersen. The small and unimposing statue is a Copenhagen icon and has been a major tourist attraction since 1913. And Nyhavn was originally a busy commercial port where ships from all over the world would dock. The area was packed with sailors, ladies of leisure, pubs, and alehouses. But today, the beautiful old houses have been renovated and now dominated by classy restaurants. And there's just people there enjoying the relaxed atmosphere by the canal. They can listen to the jazz music and enjoy great food. And of course, Amalienborg Palace is the royal couple's winter retreat. It consists actually of 4 palaces built around an octagonal courtyard. And in the center stands the statue of Frederick V, the founder of the palace. The Royal Life Guard stands watch at the palace and other castles and palaces around Denmark. The Life Guard has a change of watch ceremony daily at noon, and you can see the post replacement conducted every 2 hours. So if you love castles, Denmark has almost as many fairy tale castles as it does fairy tales. So you can visit the picturesque region of North Zealand, just outside of Copenhagen, where you'll see Kronborg Castle, which was made famous as a setting of Shakespeare's Hamlet, as well as the magnificent Frederiksborg Palace and Frederiksborg Castle. Pardon me if I get those confused. They're really similar. This that you see on the screen, this is actually Frederiksborg Castle. It's a palace in Hillerød, Denmark. It was built as a royal residence for King Christian IV and is now a museum of national history. The current edifice replaced previous castle that was actually erected by Frederick II and is the largest Renaissance palace in Scandinavia. The palace is located on 3 small islands in the middle of Palace Lake and is adjoined by a large formal garden in the Baroque style. So you can see some of the paintings that they have housed inside. There's the statue out in front, and as well as a picture of the garden that you see down in that middle bottom picture. Now, construction on Frederiksborg Palace in 1719 was first used in 1722. The palace is often the setting for important events in the life of the royal family, such as weddings, silver wedding anniversaries, and birthdays. The Queen received heads of states from all over the world here during official visits. And during state visits, there is a tradition of having the visiting head of state scratch his or her name on a pane of glass with a diamond. The palace gardens are just under 300 acres, and today the main features of the original garden have been recreated. And Kronborg Castle is a must-see located near Copenhagen. Hamlet Castle is a World Heritage Site with soaring towers, a huge banqueting hall, and casemates. Kronborg Castle is known all over the world as Elsinore Castle and is the setting for William Shakespeare's tragedy Hamlet, one of the most famous and frequently performed stage plays in the world. King Frederick II built Kronborg in 1574 to 1585 at the narrowest neck of the sound between Denmark and Sweden. And in 2000, Kronborg was inscribed on the World Heritage List, and as such, it is officially considered to be of outstanding cultural importance to the common heritage of humanity. Now, if you were on our Captivating Scandinavia tour, you would actually board a ferry that would take you from Helsingør, Denmark, to Helsingborg, Sweden. And that's where we'll head next, to Sweden. 14,000 years ago, present-day Sweden was actually just covered by a thick ice cap. And as the ice retreated, humans came to Sweden. The first known dwelling place found in southern Sweden dates from around 12,000 BC. In the 9th and 10th centuries, Swedish Vikings invaded and settled in parts of Eastern Europe as far as Constantinople and the Caspian Sea. They founded the first kingdom of Russia, and all the Tsars of Russia until the last one, Nicholas II, were actually of Swedish Viking descent. There are more than 2,500 rune stones in Sweden, with messages dating from the 5th century to the mid-12th century, making them the oldest preserved Swedish documents. Relatives actually had the stones erected in memory of their dead family members. A long time they were alongside roads, bridges, and meeting places so they could be seen and read by many. One of the most popular souvenirs from Sweden is actually a road sign for a moose crossing. Every year, a huge number of these signs are stolen from the roads and have to be replaced. Between 1850 and 1910, more than 1 million Swedes migrated to the US. And of course, the world-famous discount furniture chain IKEA was founded in Sweden in 1943. Now, one of the best places to visit in Sweden is the Kingdom of Crystal. This is a region of Sweden which contains 15 glassworks dating back to the 18th century. The glassworks have become a part of the culture of Sweden, and examples can be found in many Swedish homes, recognizable by the small sticker at the bottom with a name. When touring the forested province of Småland in Sweden, visit at least one of the glassworks. The larger ones have adjacent museums and are open for visitors to see the glass-blowing hall. Normally, you're looking down from a platform. In the 19th century, Småland was characterized by poverty and had a substantial immigration to North America, which additionally actually hampered its development. The majority of immigrants actually wound up in Minnesota. With the geography resembling Sweden, people liked it because it combined arable land with forests and lakes. As well as all the glass-related activities, the area is famous for its cultural heritage and natural beauty. You can see forests and lakes, and you can also enjoy hiking, fishing, canoeing, and kayaking. And people just seem to get inspired to do great things when they are in Dalarna. Take Anders Zorn, one of Sweden's great painters who works in galleries and museums all around the world. Another artist inspired by this province is Carl Larsson, one of Sweden's most beloved artists. He moved to a small, picturesque house in Sundborn, which became actually an art project. The house is now a paradise for art lovers and anyone with an interest in design and gardening. And of course, the Dala horse. It's a traditionally carved, painted wooden horse statue that originated in Dalarna. In the old days, the Dala horse was mostly used as a toy for children. However, today it's become a symbol of Dalarna as well as all of Sweden. Several different types of Dala horses are made, with distinguishing features unique to the location where they are produced. One particular style which has become much more common is the one that's painted bright red with details in white, green, yellow, and blue. And apart from Christmas, Midsummer is the most important holiday in the Swedish calendar. A successful midsummer party involves flowers in your hair, dancing around a pole, singing songs while drinking schnapps, and eating a variety of foods. All in all, it's a pretty good day. And now we're going to head over to Gothenburg, which was founded by a royal charter in 1621. The port of Gothenburg is actually the largest port in the Nordic countries. Though often caught in Stockholm's shadow, Gothenburg actually has a greater appeal for many visitors than the fast-paced capital. Some of the country's finest talent hails from Gothenburg, including the music icons Jose Gonzalez and Soundtrack of Our Lives. Neoclassical architecture lines its streets, cafes hum with activity, and there's always some cutting-edge art and architecture to grab your attention. The waterfront abounds with all things nautical, including ships, aquarium, sea-related museums, and you can also sample some fresh fish. Stockholm may represent the big time, but many of the best ideas originate in this grassroots town. And one of the best things about visiting Gothenburg is a dinner and sightseeing cruise, which you can experience actually on our captivating Scandinavia tour. So you can see there's quite a feast there, and you're on a nice little historic boat. So next we'll head to Stockholm. The name Stockholm is first heard in the Chronicle of Eric, probably written between 1322 and 1332. According to this chronicle, Stockholm was founded by Birger Jarl in 1252. It was named Stockholm as referring to the town between the bridges. Stockholm is built on 14 islands connected by 57 bridges. Gamla stan is one of the best preserved medieval city centers in Europe. A series of cobble streets, Baroque restaurants, and beautiful churches, the Old Town is where the capital was founded in 1252. The Royal National City Park in Stockholm was also the world's first national city park and is a green oasis a stone's throw from the city center. Stockholm is home to 70 museums, including the world's first open-air museum, Konsten, which was founded in 1891. The museum illustrates changing social conditions in Sweden between the 16th century and the first half of the 20th century. And if you're a music fan, there's a new wonderful museum for you, the ABBA Museum. So something to check out while you're in Stockholm. On a sightseeing tour of Stockholm, you'll get to tour Stockholm City Hall, which is the site of the annual Nobel Prize banquet. The construction of the City Hall took 12 years, from 1911 to 1923. There are nearly 8 million red bricks that were used. And the dark red bricks, called monk's bricks, were called that because of their traditional use in the construction of monasteries and churches. Construction was carried out by craftsmen using traditional techniques, and the City Hall house is the largest organ in Scandinavia with 10,270 pipes. In the Vasa Museum, you can marvel at the Vasa ship, which sank on her maiden voyage in 1628 and was recovered in 1961. It took almost 2 years to build Vasa. From dawn till dusk, workers struggled to complete the Navy's great new ship. Vasa should have been splendid. It had a hull built of more than 1,000 oak trees. It has 64 cannons, masts over 160 feet high, and hundreds of painted and gilded sculptures. And finally, Old Town. Although it dates from the 13th century, most of the buildings are from the 17th and 1800s. It is a glorious labyrinth of charming cobble streets alleyways, faded mustard and rust-colored townhouses, and meeting squares reflecting North German influence. There are about 3,000 people living there today, and it's one big melting pot of cafes, restaurants, tourist shops, studios, galleries, and museums, including the Nobel Museum, the Post Museum, and the Royal Coin Cabinet. And finally, let's head to Norway. Compared to Great Britain, Norway is considered a young country. Having been in union with Denmark, then Sweden for several centuries, Norway became an independent country again in 1905. This meant it was able to choose its own king and elect its own government. Norwegians today are a strong and patriotic people who are very proud of their country and its achievements. People first settled in Norway around 10,000 years ago. They first survived by hunting and fishing, but gradually began to farm the land and keep the livestock. The first farms were created around 500 BC, and this period was known as the Bronze Age, since bronze was the metal used to create weapons, jewelry, and tools. The Viking Age lasted around 800 to 1030 AD. The Vikings built fast, ocean-going ships and traveled across the world raiding countries for their treasures and resources. Around the year 1030, the lands of Norway were made into one kingdom and Christianity was introduced. From 1380 until 1814, Norway was in a union with Denmark. When the union ended, it wrote its own national constitution, and then later that year, Norway entered into a new union with Sweden, which lasted until 1905. Norway was then able to choose its own king, and King Haakon VII became the ruler of an independent Norway for the first time in 525 years. In the late 1960s, enormous fields of oil and gas were discovered off the Norwegian coast, and this had a huge effect on the country's economy, and for the last 8 years, Norway has been voted the best country in the world to live by the UN. In addition to having a long and varied history, Norway is also the birthplace of modern skiing. 9 out of the 20 highest waterfalls in the world are in Norway, and there are over 1,000 fjords. There are as many Norwegian descendants living in the US as there are Norwegians living in Norway, especially in the states of North Dakota, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. So we're going to start out in the capital city of Norway. Is it Oslo? Is it Christiania with a K or Christiania with a CH? So one can be easily confused by the capital's different names through the years. The town was originally called Oslo, but after a dramatic fire in 1624, King Christian IV decided that the town should be rebuilt in an area below the fortress, and he chose the name of Christiania with a CH. From 1877, the name was spelled Christiania with a K, and in 1925, it was actually changed back to the original name Oslo. So Oslo's history begins actually in the Middle Ages. The first town-like settlement probably appeared around the year 1000 AD. Around the year 1300 AD, Oslo had about 3,000 inhabitants. The town was the residence of King Haakon V, who commenced the building of what is today known as Akershus Fortress. The more than 700-year-old fortress is an important cultural monument. Here there are memories of World War II also come out strongly. Many Norwegian patriots were executed here, and Akershus was surrendered to the Norwegians' Resistance Museum in the last hours of the war. During a city tour of Oslo, which is included in all our tours, you'll visit Frogner Park, which contains the world's largest sculpture park made by a single artist, and is one of Norway's most popular tourist attractions. The Viking Ship Museum is also another site you'll get to visit, and it's home to the world's best preserved Viking ship. You'll also see ship burials of the Viking Age and unique Viking woodcraft. Some of our tours also include visits to the Norwegian Folk Museum, which is Norway's largest museum of cultural history, featuring an open-air museum and a large indoor collection. Other sites around the city include the Royal Palace, the Parliament Building, and of course Oslo's famous Opera House. So one of the best ways to travel from Oslo to Bergen is by train, with a side trip on one of the most famous trains in Europe, the Flam Railway. National Geographic Traveler magazine has actually named the Flam Railway as one of the top 10 train journeys in Europe, and Lonely Planet named it the best train journey in the world in 2014. The train journey runs through fantastic nature, past steep mountains, breathtaking waterfalls, and through 20 tunnels. Construction on the railway actually began in 1924. 20 tunnels were planned, 18 of which had to be carved out by hand. It wasn't until 1936 12 years later that the actual railway tracks began being laid. In 1940 was the year the construction was planned to be completed, but when the Germans invaded in April, there were still over 3 miles of tracks that needed to be put in place. German authorities demanded that the construction continue, and in August of that same year, trains were put into operation. It was in 1941 that the first passengers were allowed on the new Flensbana. Today, the train takes you from the mountaintop at Myrdal Station, which is 2,800 feet above the ocean, down to ocean level at the Sognefjord and Flåm in just about an hour. And now that you've arrived in Bergen, one of the first things you'll get to see is the charming Hanseatic Wharf. Now, Bergen can actually trace its history back to 1070 AD. The Bryggen, or the Hanseatic Wharf, has become a symbol of Norwegian cultural heritage and has gained a place on UNESCO's World Heritage List. The old wharf is architecturally unique and is one of the most familiar images in all of Norway. Bergen is also known as a gateway to the fjords. Now, there's some really famous authors and artists that have originated here in Bergen, and Henrik Ibsen is a great author and modern playwright who was employed as a decorator and instructor at the Norwegian Theater in Bergen from the ages of 23 to 29. Ibsen's first dramas were written and performed there. His talent was actually discovered by Ole Bull, a famous violinist. Bull was also the founder of the theater. The theater building was destroyed by bombs during World War II, but a statue of Ole Bull can now be seen at the center square beneath the new theater. Ole Bull also discovered the talent of a 15-year-old named Edvard Grieg and promptly insisted that the young Grieg should be sent to the music conservatory in Leipzig. Grieg is still regarded as one of Norway's most important composers, and for example, he composed music to Ibsen's Peer Gynt. So in Bergen, you can visit the home of the late Edvard Grieg with Trollhagen. You can ride the funicular for a fantastic view over the harbor, shop along the Hanseatic Wharf, and of course sample the wares at the famous fish market. Now we're going to head up the coast to Trondheim. Trondheim was originally founded in 997 as a trading post and was the capital of Norway during the Viking Age until 1217. People have been living in the region for thousands of years, as evidenced by rock carvings in central Norway. The city has experienced several major fires. Since it's a city of log buildings made out of wood, most of the fires caused really severe damage. The 1651 fire destroyed 90% of all the buildings within the city limits, which led to an almost complete reconstruction of the city. It was during the reconstruction that broad avenues were created, and with no regard for property rights either, in order to stop the next fire. So you'll notice when you're traveling around Trondheim that the streets are very wide. It's one of the few places in Norway where you actually feel comfortable traveling on a bus. One of the most spectacular attractions in Trondheim is the Nidaros Cathedral. The cathedral, built from 1070 on, is the most important Gothic monument in Norway and was Northern Europe's most important Christian pilgrimage site during the Middle Ages. Nidaros is built over the burial site of Saint Olav, the Norwegian Viking king who became the patron saint of Norway. Although he tried brutally to Christianize and unify the Norwegian population, he did make several powerful enemies. As a result, Olaf was killed in the Battle of Stiklestad, which is one of the most well-known battles in Norwegian history. His body was brought to Trondheim, and he was buried on the shore of the River Nid. 1 year later, miraculous and inexplicable things happened to the king's grave, and Olaf was declared a saint. Olaf's remains were later moved to a secret location in the cathedral, and even to this day, his last resting place remains a mystery. Today, it is the northernmost medieval cathedral in the world, and the second largest in Scandinavia. Now we'll head back down the coast to Stavanger. In Stavanger, you'll find a charming mix of old and new. In the old part of town, there are more than 170 white-painted wooden houses from the end of the 18th and 19th century. You can also visit the Stavanger Cathedral, which was built of stone in the 12th and 13th centuries and is one of the few churches in Scandinavia that has kept its original design. If you're wanting something a little bit more modern, then check out the Stavanger Oil Museum. The museum is a very interesting building with a fascinating information on Norway's oil industry. You can see displays of just submersibles, drilling equipment, a mock oil platform, and audio-visual presentations, and it all makes for a good few hours. If you're feeling a bit more adventurous, you can hike to Pulpit Rock, one of the most visited attractions in Norway. This popular rock formation is almost 2,000 feet above the fjord below and is a fantastic nature experience. You can also stop for a photo in front of the Three Swords, a monument outside the city center of Stavanger. The swords themselves are massive, and the background is the fjord. Speaking of the fjords, we're going to head there now. Surrounded by snow-covered mountain peaks, waterfalls, and forests, Narrowfjord is truly a Norwegian icon. There are many ways to experience the Narrowfjord, such as the fjord cruise, hiking, biking, driving, kayaking, and of course driving to Dalsnø for a spectacular view over the fjord. The two most notable waterfalls in the Narrowfjord are the Seven Sisters and the Suder. Both falls face one another across the fjord, and the Suder is said to be trying to woo the sisters opposite. The Bridal Veil is another waterfall in the fjord, so named because it falls delicately over one rocky edge, and when seen backlit by the sun, it has the appearance of a thin veil over the rocks. A short distance away, you can drive the thrilling Troll's Path with its 11 hairpin bends and steep incline. Makes for quite an adventure. The second of Norway's famous fjords is the Sognefjord. Now, this is actually Norway's longest fjord and it's a highlight actually on many of our tours. Thousands of tourists cruise from Flåm to Gudvangen on Arlen and Narrowfjord, which are both branches of the Sognefjord. The Narrowfjord, is particularly noted for its unspoiled nature and dramatic scenery, and is only 980 feet across at its narrowest point. The Narrowfjord is a UNESCO World Heritage Site along with the Geirangerfjord. Now, I could go on for days about all the fjords in Norway, but since we have other things to do, we'll move on to northern Norway. But before we head there, let's take a look at some of the other sites you may see on some of our escorted tours, including Ålesund, which is on our Norwegian adventure tour. You'll get to see state churches, historic farms, charming hotels, and of course, thrilling drives. Now, let's head to northern Norway. And it's known for many things, including the midnight sun during the summer months and the northern lights during the winter. You'll get to see small fishing villages with their picturesque little red rowboat and its fantastic natural beauty, especially around the Lofoten Islands. Known for distinctive scenery with mountain peaks, open sea and sheltered bays, beaches, and untouched lands, the Lofoten Islands have been inspiration for artists for years. An interesting alternative to land travel is Hurtigruten. You can take the Norwegian coastal voyage, and it passes through quite a few sizable ports, and you get to see the best of the coastal scenery in Scandinavia. And it's a nice way to travel, especially since trains only run as far as Bodø. So it's a great way to experience northern Norway in comfort. If you do plan to visit northern Norway in the winter, you won't be disappointed. Between the northern lights and the winter activities, you'll have more than enough to keep you busy both day and night. Now that you've gotten a small sample of Scandinavia, let's explore how you can make your travel dreams a reality. In 2015, we're actually offering 3 different itineraries featuring visits to multiple countries in Scandinavia. Taste of Norway and Sweden is a new itinerary for 2015 and includes visits to Bergen, Flåm, Oslo, Talberg, and Stockholm. Highlights of the tour include a photo stop at Steggestein Viewpoint overlooking the Arlen Fjord, a stop at the Borgund State Church, visits to the Dalarna region with tours of the Domina Horse Center, which produces the traditional Dala wooden horse, the symbol of Sweden, and home of Sweden's artist Carl Larsson. You'll also get to tour the Uppsala Cathedral as well as Stockholm. The Scandinavian Adventure is actually a custom tour which features the very best that Scandinavia has to offer. And this tour is led by Pastor Mark Halvorson, whose family will join the group for dinner in Oslo. This is a 12-day tour that starts in Bergen and goes to Stockholm, and is filled with a variety of sights and activities. You'll enjoy awesome scenery, including glaciers, waterfalls, and fjords, historic and cultural sites such as the colorful region of Dalarna. You'll ride the Flåm Railway, and you'll get to cruise the spectacular Sognefjord and Geirangerfjord. And finally, our most comprehensive tour of Scandinavia is Captivating Scandinavia. You'll travel from Bergen through the fjord country of Oslo. From Oslo, you'll travel on an overnight cruise to Copenhagen. After a full day in Copenhagen, you'll travel by bus through the Swedish countryside to Lången, Gothenburg, and finally Stockholm. After 2 nights in Stockholm, you can return home, or you can actually enjoy an optional extension to Helsinki via an overnight cruise or sail on to St. Petersburg, Russia. And we do have some tours that are just featured in Norway for this year. The first is Norway's fabulous fjords. This is also a new itinerary for 2015 and includes visits to 6 fjords. You'll travel from Oslo to Lillehammer and Geiranger before driving south to Loftus in the heart of Norway's Hardanger region before arriving in Bergen. You'll actually get to spend 4 nights in fjord view rooms at the exquisite Ulandsvang Hotel in Loftus and the Solstrand Hotel in Ås, which is just south of Bergen. You'll visit Tjesen Farm, which is nestled on the side of a mountain, and Finso Fruit Farm, a family-run farm which has grown fruits and berries for 8 generations. Our next tour is Norway's Southern Pleasures. This is a small group tour, perfect for those that may have traveled to Norway before and are looking for something a little bit different. You will get to spend several days exploring the Telemark and Hardanger areas of Norway, and some of the highlights include a visit to the Hedal Stave Church, which is Norway's largest stave church from the 12th century, a tour of the Industrial Museum in Rjukan, visit to a silversmith and a rose mauling artist, and you'll get to enjoy dinner in a former cheese dairy, so something a little different. Our Norwegian Adventure Tour, we talked about that one a little bit. It is another new itinerary for 2015. On this tour, you'll get to experience Norway's unique architecture as well as its fabulous natural wonders. You'll travel round trip from Oslo. After you visit the unique opera house in Oslo, you'll continue on to Bergen for a guided walk through the wooden buildings along the Hanseatic Wharf. You'll learn about the history of the Norwegian fjord horse. You'll visit the Art Nouveau town of Ålesund, which is really unique. Not many other tour operators offer a stop here in Ålesund. You'll cruise the Geiranger Fjord. You'll also get to visit Myhagen near Lillehammer. This is one of Norway's largest open-air museums. And you'll also get to enjoy a farewell dinner at a local farm. And for those that are familiar with the literary works of Lorraine Snelling, you're invited to join her on a journey to Norway to trace her family roots as well as those of Ingeborg, the central character of her Red River of the North series. And if she were on here with me, she would probably tell me that I just pronounced Ingeborg completely and utterly wrong, but I hope that she will forgive me. Some of our other escorted tours for 2015 include our Best of Norway tour. We have 2 departures. This tour travels from Oslo to Geiranger, Voss, Bergen, and finally Stavanger. It's a great introductory tour. Our other popular tour, Spectacular Norway, is also a great tour for those first-time travelers to Norway. It travels from Oslo to Bergen, Geiranger, and then on to Trondheim. So it takes a little different route there at the end instead of Dallas. And finally, our Scenic and Historic Tour is probably our most all-inclusive tour of Norway, which features Trøndelag and Røros, in addition to Bergen, Flåm, Geiranger, Trondheim, Lillehammer, and Oslo. And for those of you that may not be familiar with Røros, if you have kids or grandkids that maybe have seen Disney's Frozen, they actually use the town of Røros as an inspiration for some of their artwork. So after your tour is over, if you're not ready to go home yet, then you can extend your trip overseas with an extension to a variety of places in Scandinavia. For our tours that end in Stockholm, it's an easy overnight cruise to the Finnish capital of Helsinki, where you can enjoy a sightseeing tour featuring the city's highlights. If you're interested in discovering the land of fire and ice, you can request a stopover in Iceland either to or from Scandinavia. You can experience the Blue Lagoon, Reykjavik, and the Golden Circle on a short 3-day stopover package. And if Russia is on your bucket list, then maybe you want to sign up for a 5-day visa-free cruise, either from Helsinki or Stockholm. You can spend 2 nights in the heart of St. Petersburg. You'll visit Pushkin, Catherine's Palace, and much more. And the nice thing is you have guides that will be there to assist you. You can also explore the coast of Norway on a Hurtigruten Norwegian coastal voyage. With 34 ports of call, you'll get to experience quaint fishing villages, larger cities, and everything in between. Nature is of course, the main attraction of the cruise, and there are daily departures from Bergen, sailing north to Kirkenes, and from Kirkenes, sailing south to Bergen. You can also just take a portion of the journey, say from Trondheim to Kirkenes. So in addition to our escorted tours, we also do offer a variety of independent travel options, including fjord tours, private tours, adventure tours, and winter packages. Our independent travel options can be found online, or if you prefer to have a customized itinerary plan just for you, feel free to contact our office. We also do offer Scandinavian cruises, including the Baltic Sea, and of course the Norwegian coastal voyage. So now that you've decided that you want to travel to Scandinavia, why should you travel with Brekke Tours? Well, in short, you'll be benefiting from our nearly 60 years in the business of connecting Scandinavian Americans to their roots. You'll travel with like-minded individuals that appreciate learning from friendly and knowledgeable tour directors. You'll get to explore areas of Scandinavia not found with other tour operators, and you'll experience things you can't do with larger groups. If you have 2 busloads of people trying to all cram in around something, it makes it really difficult and just not for a very good time. All of our escorted tours can be customized with pre- and post-tour packages to provide a one-of-a-kind experience. So if you do need something completely customized for you, we do have the skills, knowledge, and the contact to provide the service for you. And best of all, there's no hidden extras. What you see included on your itinerary is what you get. We don't have optional tours that you can add and that you have to pay for while you're traveling. So some frequently asked questions, hopefully to get those juices going if you have any questions for me later on. Who is our typical tour participant? So generally our clients are retired and in the ages 50 and up. We also get quite a few of multi-generational clients, parents bringing their children and grandchildren. They come from various parts of the United States and Canada, and many of them have ethnic ties to Scandinavia. Our clients enjoy the cultural and educational opportunities provided by our tours and tour directors, as well as the soft adventures which can be enjoyed by any ages. They enjoy the companionship and meeting fellow travelers across the US and Canada. Many enjoy the little things that we include on our tours, such as the airfare, the ability to customize a tour, luggage handling at the hotels, and unplanned stops at out-of-the-way places, and the pace of our tours. You won't be traveling from 6 a.m. till 10 o'clock at night. I think most of all, though, most of our clients trust us to provide a quality product at a fair price. The next question that we get a lot is, what is the currency for Scandinavia? And really the answer for this varies for each country since they all have their own. If you do travel to more than one country, you will need to exchange money as you cross the border. The best rates of exchange can be found at banks, but you can also exchange money at airports and at other terminals, train terminals, piers, things like that. Credit cards are widely accepted in Scandinavia, but you will want to notify your credit card company before you travel outside the US. Otherwise, you'll be sitting there with a piece of plastic that does you no good. So what type of clothing should I bring? I always recommend clients bring clothing that you can wear. Casual clothing is the norm for our escorted tours, and you'll want to bring good walking shoes. You'll also want to bring a jacket and perhaps a raincoat. Other things you may want to pack include an umbrella or a poncho. You'll want to bring snacks, medications, including over-the-counter medication like aspirin. I would include sunscreen and a small day pack where you can store sweaters, a water bottle, and your snacks. And we have to change planes. All of our escorted tours include flights on Iceland Air from Minneapolis. You will change planes upon arrival in Keflavik, Iceland, but you only need about 30 to 45 minutes for your layover. This makes the connection really quick and easy, and you're not going to be stumbling around larger airports like Amsterdam and London. Your tour director will actually meet you upon arrival at your destination airport outside of customs. So you'll pick up your luggage and go through customs, and your tour guide will be there for a little time. Finally, when is a good time to travel to Scandinavia? And really the answer depends on you. If you prefer smaller crowds, being outdoors, or are traveling on a budget, then perhaps the spring or fall would be the best time. If you enjoy winter activities or want to check seeing the northern lights off your bucket list, then winter is the perfect time to visit. Or if you plan on traveling with a group and want to experience Scandinavia at its warmest, then traveling June through August is your best bet. But whatever the season, we're here to help you get your plans off the ground. So to thank you all for joining us today, we would like to offer you a special discount of $100 per person with your registration by March 16th. So on your tour application form, just enter SCAN15 in the promo code field, and we'll deduct $100 per person off the price of your tour. So just remember that code, SCAN15, and we'll be sending out a copy of the recording afterwards, so you'll have that. And I'll include that in an email too, just so you'll have it available. So how do you get started? How do you register for a tour? Well, the first thing you can do is to request our 2015 travel brochure. You can either request it online, by email, or by phone. You can also visit us online and register for a tour. On our website, you can also make payments, sign up for our e-newsletter, get new destination ideas, find helpful hints on traveling to Scandinavia, or if you're looking for a map, book, or a gift from Scandinavia, check out our Brekke Gift and Travel Store. So now I'm going to open it up for any questions that we may have. Again, if you do have any questions, there is a chat box at the bottom left-hand corner. So please feel free to send me those questions that you may have. We do have one, somebody asking about tours going over the Atlantic Highway. We do have a couple of tours that do that. Right off the top of my head, the Norway Scenic and Historic will go up that way, and as well as Spectacular Norway, I believe. They do take the part of the Atlantic Ocean Road between Holden and Kristiansand. So that if that's something that you are wanting to do, which is really it's really remarkable. The bridges there are just fascinating. I don't know even how they accomplished what they did, but it's really quite exciting and exhilarating to go over all those bridges. And the most famous one is the curvy kind of bridge that you get some really wild weather out there. So, and Mark, I do appreciate you taking the time to send me the information about wanting maps with the tours. We do have a map for each tour that's in our brochure as well as online. So if it's something that you're looking for a particular place, I would check that out. I wish I could include thousands more pictures on these presentations, but I am limited by time and storage space. So. Are any of the tours already booked up? We are getting full on a few of our tours. Best and Spectacular, those both of those departures, each of those tours are getting a little full. So if that's something that you are interested in, I would definitely try to get your application in as soon as you can. Our Norwegian, Norway Scenic and Historic is also getting a little full, but we do still have space on all of our tours. So not to worry, we're not going to turn anybody away. But I would definitely recommend getting your application in just as soon as you can and take advantage of the discount. So if that's something that you are wanting to do, then go ahead and use that SCAN15 code, save yourself $100 a person. It's more than what we're offering online, so it's a little bonus. And can you talk about the plane to Kirkenes for a one-way Hurtigruten trip? The best way to do that, if you are going to take the southbound, is to fly internationally into Oslo. I would recommend spending the night in Oslo and then the next morning taking a flight to Kirkenes. Now you can board the ship that night, depending on your flight schedule, or spend the night in Kirkenes. There's actually some things to do in Kirkenes. It's got a nice little town center. It's kind of fun, and there's some shopping and things like that. There's some activities nearby that you can do. You get on the ship and then you can take the ship down to Bergen. We do have an age requirement for children on our tours. We do ask that children be ages of 8 and up, just to make it easier for some of our other guests. If you do have children that are under the ages of 8 and you are thinking about, you want to take them to Norway or to Scandinavia, we can create a customized tour for you. That's not a problem. We've actually got a group this year that they're taking quite a few of their grandchildren, I believe, and they have their own customized tour that's very similar to our fabulous fjords. So that's something that we can certainly set up for you. So if we have any other questions, please feel free to send those in now. We still have a few minutes, so I'll just kind of hang out here for just a little bit. I do want to mention that a lot of this information is on our website. We do have this handy dandy little booklet called Helpful Hints, and it does give you a lot of good information about traveling in Scandinavia, especially if you're planning to travel independently or if this is your first time traveling to Scandinavia, it gives you some nice little tips, what to expect when you get to the airport, luggage requirements, how to prevent jet lag, what we would suggest that you bring if you are planning meeting family members in Scandinavia, some gift suggestions. We do have a lot of people that are traveling and planning to meet family while they're there. So that's something that we can certainly help you do. We do have a genealogist on hand to help you locate your roots if that's something that you are wanting to do. So if we don't have any more questions, medical insurance coverage. We do recommend travel insurance. And the reason for that is, you never know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, much less what's going to happen, a few months from now. So we do offer group travel insurance on all of our escorted tours. It comes at a very reasonable rate, and it's really a small investment to pay in order to, cover your trip. It does include some medical coverage if you get injured. So it's something to definitely take a look at. And depending on the price of your tour, the premiums will vary. So it's just something that we do recommend for everybody to check into. I also recommend our clients to check with your credit card companies, because a lot of times credit card companies will provide not necessarily medical coverage, but they will provide travel insurance. If you're delayed or if you lose, the airlines lose your bag, things like that. They will help cover that if you use their credit card to pay for your travel. So especially good for independent travelers. So, and any military members out there, if you are members of USAA, they do also offer travel insurance. So another option. But the company that we use for our group travel insurance is Travel Safe. It's very reputable. We've used them for years, and they've been around for a number of years. So you know that you're getting a quality product. And I'll give it just a few more minutes. But I do want to thank everybody for joining us this afternoon. Please feel free, if you think of any other questions that you didn't get a chance to ask, or if you're like me, I always think of questions about 10 minutes after after things. So feel free to send us an email, give us a call. Our information is there on the screen. We are more than happy to talk to anybody. We love travel. We love planning travel, and we definitely want to get you where you want to go. So with that, I will go ahead and end it. And thank you, everybody, again. I will be sending out a recording of the presentation within the next couple of days, so please look for that. And if you did have any issues or problems with the presentation, hopefully you will get a second chance to watch it at your leisure. And thank you so much, everybody. I hope to see you in Scandinavia this summer.